All right, everyone, welcome to another 90 Day Fiance recap chat. This time it's 90 Day Fiance the other way. 90 Day Fiance is a reality show that follows couples. One person's from the US, the other from another country. We see their, regular relationship issues that most people go through. On top of that, the cultural boundaries, language barriers, all these differences they have to go through and figure out, as well as figure out the whole legal system when it comes to marrying someone from another country, the 90-day fiance or the 90-day K1 visa. That all plays a part in this reality show, 90 Day Fiance. And again, this particular spinoff we're talking about this time is 90 Day the Other Way. So let's get into these couples. This is actually the final episode of the season. There will be, I believe, 1 to 2, not really sure how many, but usually it's 1 to 2 tell-all episodes that follows up with the couples. But let's start off with one of our favorites here. For some it's a favorite, for others may feel differently, but we have Shekinah and Sarper. And they show them getting back on that boat, the boat that they were on together earlier in their relationship, and she was questioning him about putting her on social media. He kind of had issues with doing so, but now they're back on the same boat having a romantic night together, and he basically is declaring he's a changed man. She's like, well, yes, you're the perfect man now. We went through our trials and our struggles, but you're the perfect man. And I say that with a question mark because I don't know if that's completely true here. Everything wrapped up with the bow. Definitely, I can say in my eyes, he's not the perfect man, but maybe she feels like he's the perfect man for her at this moment. And he tells her, you're lucky. Typical Sarper, but I do see some improvements with him. But again, I'm sure there's some unseen things that we don't know about. And he really just now really turned a good corner. So, hopefully their future looks bright. So they're on this boat, and they're in between two continents. I believe Europe and Asia. They're in the middle of two worlds. And he, lets her know this information because he has a big surprise for her. He tries to sing this song, and it's more like of a talk sing thing he was doing. And then he drops to that knee, the moment we're waiting for. And instead of saying, will you marry me? He says, I will marry you, as if it's a declaration. It's not a question. I thought that was weird. I will marry you. Like this is supposed to be my prize, but isn't she supposed to be your prize also? Again, typical Sarper. But I think she's into it. She said, oh, are you ready for forever with me? And a sign lights up on the bridge. It says, marry me, Shekinah. I thought it was a beautiful night. The fact that they were between two continents and he's declaring his love for her in that moment. The words come up on the bridge. It was pretty nice. And of course he gives her the ring. And it's that little box where the light's shining in the box, so it makes it look even more spectacular. And she's like, we're engaged, but he's like, no, first we have to do the engagement ceremony because this is what we do in Turkey. This is our tradition. He's not sure why he can't say the word fiance. He's called it the F word. And I don't know if it's just an issue with him verbally saying it, or he feels funny about saying it. I couldn't tell. He was kind of rolling his eyes at times like, are you a little bit weird about the whole idea of getting married generally? He did confess about his bad marriage in the past, but he's like, she's the perfect woman for him. The K1 visa got approved in the US, and they really have to get married for that to activate. But she doesn't fully know his feelings on that K1 visa and that he really does not want to come to the US. They have a beautiful engagement ceremony. There's rings with red ribbon. Then they put the rings on, and then an elder of the family cuts those. Fusen, I believe is her name, the cousin, she helps her get ready for this. It's like a little mini pre-wedding. The engagement ceremony is like a pre-little wedding. It's really nice. Family gathers. It's a little bit more intimate. So they're at a nice restaurant. Then they do this Turkish coffee tradition, and basically the wife makes, or the wife to be makes, the nastiest coffee ever, and the husband has to drink it and act as if everything is fine. And that shows how much he will do, I guess, to be with that person, to be with her. He'll go through a lot. So I thought that was a little different. I thought it was a little cute. He tells the family about the visa, the K1 issue, and he tells but he also tells them he doesn't really want to go, but he says it in his language. And he's like, I'm hoping that I can convince her with the love of my family that she'll stay, because her family doesn't really get along with her well. And I don't think they like the idea of Sarper either. But he didn't translate that part. He just said, that the visa went through. So she's thinking, okay, we're on our way to the U.S. The family's showing her love and supportive of her, which was really nice. But the caveat is she doesn't know. What he said is basically that he doesn't want to go to the U.S. at this time. And he wants to try to convince her to stay there. And maybe the love of the family will convince her to do that. And again, he said in his own language, so she doesn't fully understand what was said. So I don't like that. He's leaving her in mystery. Now, part of me understands you're at a special engagement ceremony. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to make the whole night negative when this is you guys' beautiful night. But if you were to say that, you probably should have pulled them to the side and told them while she was getting ready or prepared, or told them after you guys danced and she was not around at the table. I think that would have been a better moment to tell them, and instead of doing it in such a secrecy way. And I just hope that he's honest with her and tells her what's up, what's the truth, and how he really feels, and that he's trying to, in a way, a little bit trick her to want to stay with him in his country. And it is called The Other Way, so we'll see how that works out. But I don't like the deception part. Everything else is cool. I'm happy for them. Sarper does seem like he's a better guy. I won't say he's perfect, but yeah, there's still concerns. Inky and Corona, they're going into the glacier. So they're actually going to a place that's like an actual glacier. It looks like a giant igloo, I guess, that they're walking through. She says she loves him, but she doesn't know if marriage is in their future, because he seems like he's really not that into it. So they got into it before previously, but seems like they tried to make up, but still the marriage thing is on the table and she really wants that. And again, he seems like he's making allowances for it, but she's not really sure if he really is trying to do it because he wants to, or just trying to do it to keep her around. So they're in this glacier. It's a fun event. She has on a full-on blue snowsuit, shining. It's gleaming. She looks like she's from the future. Then the guide says, they're going to go back to the future as they go into this glacier. So I think he said in the 70s or something that something was created. So that's how old this glacier is. Technically, I think they're going back to the past, but it's funny how she was wearing her futuristic jumpsuit that made me think of a spacesuit. And he had said something about going back to the future. Perfect. It looks like a giant ice cave. And then they test the echo out. It's an awesome echo. But for me, I was a little freaked out. I was like, please don't collapse. Just being in those little tiny spaces, and this made of ice, and if anything hits it, you're just like, oh, you don't want it to be an avalanche on you. I was just kind of nervous about that. They stop into a place called the Ice Chapel, and then that gets them talking about weddings again. The Ice Chapel is within the glacier. Weddings and the relationship, and does he want to go there? And Corona just lets him know she feels less secure and sure about their relationship because of his feelings and what he said earlier about marriage isn't really important to him. He's had friends that haven't even been engaged for 9 or 10 years and they've been in relationships. So marriage isn't even on his page. He really doesn't take it seriously, and she is the girl that does. So they have an issue there. But he's like, well, eventually I can see myself getting married. We'll find some common ground here, And she's like, eventually is the problem. I don't like that word. She feels like she's the trial run partner that he's, this is his first serious relationship. So, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And she's just the first, technically. She's thinking about going home and finishing school, so they discuss that. And she's like, "How would you feel?" And he's like, "Well, we'll find a way." And we're kind of in a pickle. And she's like, "Can you fight for me? Can you take this more seriously? As I can't really tell if you really want me or not, or you're just saying things to keep me around, giving me a little glimmer of hope." He's like, "It's like, okay, bye, Felicia. Like, you can go back to school if you want." That's her feeling of how he's coming off. He's not fighting for her. And, will it work for them to have a long distance relationship? If she does go back, she's feeling torn. Now they go from the glacier to the hot springs. So now they're in their swimsuits. I'm sorry, I just can't understand this cold, hot, cold, and hot. It's just too much cold. I can't. But they're in this hot spring now, and they're both saying the hot spring's pretty nice. She's saying, well, is he going along to get along? Just kind of saying what I want to hear. Are we heading to get that ring? And he's like, well, I didn't know it was so important to you. I'll marry you. I don't want to lose you and all of this. And he said he would love for her to stay. She feels a little bit more of a fight now. He said some romantic things. Basically, one of the things he said was he didn't want to lose her. And he's been waiting for her his whole life. And then they share a couple of kisses. She's really still not sure what she's going to do when it comes to midwifery school. She does have the opportunity to go back to the States and get in the program, but she doesn't have much time to make that decision. But as they're in that nice hot spring, she really looks cold to me. I just noticed she really looks cold. I know it's a hot spring. I know it's cold out there. The hot and the cold together. He looks like I'm used to this, but she really, her face just looks like I'm cold. But that's a good reason to go back alone. All right, so we'll see what her choice is at the end of the day, her career or Inky. But if marriage was on the table, I feel like she probably would try to make things work. But it has to be on the table sooner than later, I feel, and that's what she's thinking. All right, Lily and Josh. They're trying to air pay for this because he tried his credit card. They're in China, and he's an American. He's got American currency, and they didn't have enough time to try to transfer the currency. So they're trying all these different ways to use his card. Now they're trying AirPay, which I believe is something that is accepted in China, but it still didn't work. And Lily's really upset. He's like, don't stress out, let's just cancel it. But she said, no, but man, you said you had my back. I thought you were going to pay for this. She's upset. The fact that he doesn't have the money, or the money's not going through. Now, he may have the money, but it's not going through and it's not helping her. So she feels like he let her down to finish paying for this wedding that's going to happen in about an hour and a half. He said, either way, we're going to be happy. Let's just cancel it. We don't have the money. Don't worry about it. So they come up now with a new plan, and him and his brother have $1,200 cash. I think they need like $4,000 or something altogether. That's a lot of money to just pull up out of nowhere. So they're going to cover the $1,200 cash from him and his brother. And I'm not sure exactly how much that translates in the money for China. So I'm not sure what that will equal. But I might look into that and drop it somewhere in the description so we'll know. She borrows the rest of the money from her online bank. And, they do it. The time is tight, but they're able to do it. And the wedding was amazing. But at the moment, before the wedding begins, she's angry. She's like, She feels like she's going to be a hideous bride because she's not happy with this situation, and she had to pay for everything, and he didn't bail her out like she thought he would. But come on, did kind of spring this on him last minute. It's kind of not fair. Even though a woman, I guess, says she'll do everything, I guess a man needs to be ready to step up and have his woman's back if needed, and maybe that's what the relationship will be in the future. But I think he needs to know that, and he needs to work on that, because we can see a change in her expectations. And if this is any indication, he needs to work on, hey, I need to see what I can do to have her back in whatever way I can. May not be traditional working, but let's see what I can do. The bride and the groom prepare together, and the brother Jared's like, it's a little bit different. They're getting ready in the same room. It's not like an American wedding. And he's like, yes, it's going to be like a play. And it was beautiful. Did look like a movie set in China. And everybody began to enjoy it, and she began to be happy as she saw her groom, and she walks through her pathway. They have a special bow that they do together. The music was beautiful, traditional Chinese music. Again, it looked like a set. They did a special the bow that they do. Then they had they tied their hair together, and I think they did something with wine. They intertwine their arms and drink the wine together. And instead of a traditional pastor standing there, I feel like if the man was an announcer announcing every portion of what was going to happen next, it definitely did feel like a play or a movie. He was announcing each move, each part of the ceremony, each sacred thing that they would do. The daughter congratulates them, and all the friends and everything are there. She's like, this is my husband, and she's excited to show him off to everyone. The daughter, even though, it was great that at the meal he apologized to her and said, from now on, if there's anything you want to ask me, please do so. And I thought that was a good, heartfelt apology. And she said, she appreciated that, but she says she knows that there's still work to be done. She let us know off to the side. Work needs to be done with their relationship. And I think we can all say that. All right, let's go with Joanne and Sean. Joanne has the phone chat with her son, Joey. It's been about 3 or 4 days. Like, guys, how are you holding up? Because, she basically told her kids after 2 years of being married that she was finally married. They were really upset. They were visiting him, meeting Sean for the first time. So now they're back home, and, she's asking them, are they bad? Are they processing? And the son's kind of like, it's kind of boring without you being around. And, I thought that was kind of sweet. He's a teenage boy. I was a little bit surprised how much they really want their mom around, which I'm not trying to say that a teenage boy doesn't need their mom, but it shows to me a testament of how good of a mom she is and how great a connection they have as a family. Of course, you don't want your mom to leave, but usually a teenage boy has their mind set on different things. But of course, you don't never want your mom to leave. And then the younger son, he said he's not really, responsive and hasn't said much of anything. So she's worried about the fact that he's not really talking about it at all. He did say he's sad, he's still being a man about it. He's still being a young man and not acting like he's a little baby boy. But he's honest about his feelings with his mom, his love for his mom. And he wants her to still be around and not in another country. So she made the decision at that moment she's not moving. And she now has to tell Sean. She breaks the news to them. Looks like they're at dinner or a meal or something, and they're like, what do we do? And she's like, wait till they're adults, wait 6 years. Or they're both kind of trying to figure out what to do. He said, I'm disappointed and I'm angry really at the way we did things. We probably should have jumped into this marriage And I don't think I can wait 6 years for my spouse to be with me all the time. I'm thinking they may have to make a U.S. move. He may need to move to the U.S. I don't know how they're going to handle this, but at this point in time, Joanne is going back. And I do like the fact that he's mad, he's disappointed. He never said at the kids, but he was mad at both of them. He was mad at himself and her because they just didn't really come up with a good game plan. And he understands that she has to be there for her sons. But this is going to be a hard one. I don't know how they're going to figure out navigating their marriage in the future. I don't want them to break up. They've already been married for 2 years. I don't want them to throw in the towel. 6 years is a long time. Is there some way that they can figure this out? And even if she does go like a couple times a year, I guess that's still not enough for 6 years. I mean, that really adds up. So I don't know how they're going to do that because the sons really need their mom, but she's going to have to find some type of middle ground. At this point, all she knows is she's going back for her sons. And I think she's a good mom. She made the good choice, but this is going to be hard for them as a couple, and I hope they don't have to break up. So she won't be in Ireland. Back to Jersey, I believe. That's where they live. It's either Jersey or New York. My bad. I think it's New York. All right, James and Tata, we close out with them. James decides he is going to leave and go back to the U.S., and she ends up staying. You know, he's devastated. She's devastated. She's crying. He ended up booking a ticket without her, and she felt blindsided. Things were happening too fast. She felt like she needed more time. And she wants her sister Angel to come, and then she would have went back, but he says at this time he can't really trust Angel. She already put out false rumors about him and tried to make him look bad. Even though she did apologize at their wedding, he still doesn't have full trust in her. And she thinks, hey, we're probably never going to come back, and I don't want to be alone in the U.S. anymore by myself, and that's why she wanted her sister to be there so she wouldn't be alone. She doesn't have full confidence that they're going to come back. She feels James is inconsistent. He did say that once he gets everything together, he's going to come back for her in Indonesia. You know, the parents go on the bullet train with them, but neither of them told them that, hey, this isn't just a bullet train ride. I'm going to be leaving to the U.S. Everyone said when they find out the news, surprise, you know, they're saying you lied, and James hurt all of his family. He's like, I hurt my family in the U.S. by disappearing, and surprisingly, and then now I'm hurting this family by disappearing again, surprisingly. You know, there's trust issues between them. And she was like, hey, don't be up to no good cheating on me while you're back in the U.S. It's like, no, I would never do that. And she's not sure if staying is a mistake or if she should go. It's really a sad goodbye and very emotional. He's wondering if he feels more invested in the relationship because he feels that he's just going back to take care of her and make money, which the fact that she's not going with him, he feels that is something that shows how close they really aren't. It was a rough goodbye. You know, she was really sad and tearing up. They kissed and everything, and they were close multiple times, but there was just mostly sobbing between her, and I guess he was trying to hold it together because she was really sobbing it out. And when she was like, don't go at some point, you know, so it was really an emotional goodbye. Not really sure where these two are going to stand or where they're going to end up. I understand where Tata is coming from, and then I don't. I feel like she can try to make America work, but I also feel like he could have tried harder to make Indonesia work for him as well. So it's a mishmash. Where do they really want to be? They want to be together, but they want to be home at the same time. Maybe him for different reasons than her. So who knows what's going to happen with James and Tata? They're married as far as we know. Hopefully they stay married, and we'll learn more. We'll learn more at the tell-all. We have some cliffhangers here. So what are your thoughts, comments, questions? Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. That's cbiztv@yahoo.com. Again, thoughts, comments, questions. We'll talk more about faith, love, and trends. All the best, and God bless.